Hey, this clip is from the most recent episode of the Nick Symmonds Show. If you want to see that show in its entirety, I've linked it below. But this is Monday. So it is, of course, my Monday monologue. And I thought it was perfect timing to discuss how one makes an Olympic track and field team. You know, it's not easy. It's a little bit different from country to country. But I can tell you exactly how our U.S. Olympic team will be decided this year. Let's roll that clip. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Nick Symmonds Show. I'm your host, Nick Symmonds, and I've got an awesome Monday monologue planned for you guys today. It's very pertinent to where we are at in the year. We that follow track and field, we've seen all of our favorite pros racing. They're starting to get into shape. And even some of the amateurs out there, we're all starting to ask the question, just exactly how does one make the Olympic team, right? We are all so excited about Tokyo 2021. You know, fingers crossed it still happens. And if it does, how are our favorite athletes going to ultimately make that Olympic team? Now, I've made 2 Olympic teams, so I am somewhat of an expert on how this process plays out. Now, it has changed a little bit for 2021. Obviously, we were originally going to have the Tokyo Olympics in 2020. The pandemic shifted that, so things have changed a little bit. And I've done my best to kind of dig into how things have changed and evolved with the changing times. But I want to walk you through how most athletes will make this team. If I missed something, one of the new nuanced rules that have been added because of the pandemic, forgive me, but this is really how we're going to see 90+% of the people actually make the team. Now, the crazy thing about the Olympics is it's comprised of about 10,500 athletes for the Summer Olympic Games. And the way you make a team in gymnastics is different than the way you make a team in swimming, is different than the way you make a team in track and field. And each federation, each country decides that policy or that set of procedures for themselves. So given that I'm not a swimmer, I'm certainly not a gymnast, I'm going to talk to you about how people make the team in track and field. If you live in a foreign country, you know, maybe you live in a smaller country like Belgium or any smaller country that doesn't fill out an entire team, all you really have to do is hit the Olympic standard. And we'll get into what those standards are here in just a minute. But you hit the Olympic standard and typically then your federation selects you for the team. Now, if you run for a country like the United States or a country like Russia, Kenya, you have so many great athletes, such a huge population to choose from, that you actually have many people with the Olympic standard. As often is the case when you watch the Olympic trials in the United States, many of those people have the Olympic standard. So, for example, when we ran the men's 800 in 2008 or 2012, you know, 10, 12, even 15 of those people already had the Olympic standard. So how do you pick the team? Well, you've got to narrow it down. You're only allowed 3 people per event. And so you have what's called the trials. Now, the Olympic trials for the United States, governing body, USATF, sets standards, and you have to hit a standard to be invited into the trials. So looking through the standards right here, you have to run the standard within a window, and they've amended this window for the new schedule for the trials. But between January 1, 2019 through Sunday, June 13 of 2021, you need to run these standards to be invited. And I know a lot of my followers, a lot of the viewers here, they love middle distance. So I'm just going to kind of rattle off some of the middle distance qualifying standards. For men, in the 400, you're looking at 45.2. In the 800, you're looking at 146.2. 1500, 337. 5K, 1325. Women's standards for the same events, 51.3. 202 for the 800, 406 for the 15, and 1520 for the 5. So really solid times. These are world-class times, and that gets you invited into the trials. Now, when we ran in 2012 and 2008, in the men's 800, they took 32 athletes. 32 or 36, I'll have to go back and look. But they narrowed that 30... It must have been 32. 32 in the prelims gets narrowed down to 16 in the semis, gets narrowed down to 8 in the final. So you've got the 8 fittest, most talented athletes in the country, and they race in the finals, and the first 3 across the line with the Olympic standard make the Olympic team. Now, we saw this actually play out in absolutely, stunning fashion in 2008 when we ran the men's Olympic final. The Olympic trials final, and almost everybody had the Olympic standard except Christian Smith. Christian actually ran and dove for the finish line to get that third spot, and in that performance grabbed his Olympic standard. That's one of the things that was so crazy about that 800. So you in America, you get the standard to go to the Olympic trials. Here, let me back up. So in America, ideally, you have the Olympic standard going into the trials, but you have to have the standard at least to get to the trials. And then they'll take the top three, and you do need to have the Olympic standard as well. So in that scenario, Christian Smith ran it in that games. But typically, and certainly in my case, going into the Olympic trials in 8 and going into the Olympic trials in 12, I already had the Olympic standard. Now, the Olympic standard is set forth by what was IAAF. It's now World Athletics. And these are way tougher than the Olympic trials. When I read these times out to you, what you need to have to ultimately make it to the games, these are tough, you guys. 400 for men, 44.9. 800 for men, 145.2. That is a really tough time to hit. How about this one for the 1500? 335. For the women, the Olympic standards in those events, 51.3 for 400, 159.5, sub 2, that's crazy, 159.5 in the 8, and 404.2 in the 1500. Now, if you guys want to know what the Olympic standards and the trial standards are for your individual event, I will link both of those in the description below. But you can see just how incredibly hard these standards are to hit. Now, if you look at the men's steeple, for example, 822 for men's steeple, there may be many Kenyans, who are so good at the steeple. There may be many Kenyans with that standard. So again, just like in the United States, the Kenyans will run an Olympic trials process, but everybody, every team, every country only gets 3 people per event. So you might be an 820 steepler, the 4th or 5th best steepler in the world, but you're only the 4th best Kenyan steepler, so you get left off the team. That's how brutal these Olympic trials are. Similarly, we see that play out in the United States all the time. You may be one of the top 10 100-meter sprinters in the world, but because we're so deep in the 100, if you finish 4th at the Olympic trials, sorry, you didn't qualify. Now, there is one caveat there. In the sprints, in the 100, 400, we have the 4x1. We have the 4x4. So there's a relay pool where we have other people actually qualifying in. It's why, unpopular take here maybe, I think it's actually easier to make an Olympic team in the sprints than it is the distances. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. But that's really how you're going to make an Olympic team. You run an Olympic standard. Well, in America, you run an Olympic trial standard. Ideally, you have the Olympic standard going into those trials, but you can achieve that standard in the trials. You finish top 3, you have the Olympic standard, you punch your passport, and you go to the Olympic Games. Now, we are actually going to see this play out live in real time here in Tracktown, USA in just a few weeks. The 2021 Olympic trials are slated to take place here at Hayward Field. I will be there. All of Run Gum's going to be there, and we are going to throw some incredible parties, incredible meetup videos. I'm going to be hosting jogs. If you guys are coming out for the Olympic trials, let me know either in the comments below or let me know on Instagram. And make sure you're following me on Instagram because I'm going to be announcing all of our meetup videos there. I'm going to be announcing, potentially fun runs that we're going to be setting up. So I think this is going to be a really great party here in Tracktown, Oregon. I've been here for the 08 trials, the 12 trials, the 16 trials. It really is, if you love track and field, it is the best time you will ever have. So I hope to see you guys here in a few weeks at the 2021 Olympic trials. But right now, we need to connect with some people, answer some questions. Let's jump into the Q&A. All right, I hope you found that helpful. Guys, I got to shout out my company, Run Gum. They help me produce these shows so that we can have content for you every day. And right now, I'm talking about Run Gum Wintergreen. This little pack right now can be found nationwide at Walmart, right at the check lane. And you may notice something funny about this one. That's right, I hand autographed it. Guess what? I hid hand autograph packs of Run Gum in the packages before we shipped them to Walmart. There are 10 autograph packets on Walmart store shelves right now at the cash register. Good luck finding one.